It's 2025, which means this year marks my 23rd year as a guitar teacher. Believe it or not, I started teaching back in the year when Warcraft 3 came out. Frostmourne hungers. So I decided to put together 20 handy tips in a single video to all you guitar players who want to improve your playing. Whether you're a beginner or a more experienced guitar player, this tip can help. And even if some of you think they're basic, well, trust me, my years of teaching have shown me to never take anything for granted. Even the smallest idea might be just what someone needs. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, welcome on my studio and on my channel. I'm Stefano Rossi, I'm a guitar teacher, I'm the director of the DUP Music School, and in my spare time I put shrimp toast on my pizza.
What?
You can download all the things that you need to play the exercises that I will show you down in the description box. Before we start, let me just steal you a second. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. The last person who skipped it ended up losing the intonation of all his guitars and the tuners as well, so do it. And if you want to support me even more, check out my Patreon. Subscribers get access to all the PDFs and the backing tracks of all my YouTube videos. A little bonus for you, all the things that you need to play the exercises on this video will be available even to my free subscribers on Patreon, so check it out. But now let's kick things off with the first tip. 1. Play every day. Our brains work best when you train a little every day rather than train a lot but on separate days. Or even worse, playing a ton of guitar just one day and then stopping for like a week. Try to set aside at least half an hour each day. That's the minimum you need for your brain to store all the useful information. Even if you're not in the mood of studying something, grabbing your guitar and playing something every day keeps your muscle memory alive. So, simply grab on your instrument and play a riff that you like, or something simple like this little song. Number 2, play analytically. It's not just about how much you play, but how you play, especially when you're working on your technique. Repeating an exercise over and over isn't enough. You need to pay attention to what you're doing. Focus on your execution, figure out what might be off, and if you're following a guitar course, really listen to the description of each exercise. For example, in this little pentatonic exercise, the main focus is to maintain your index finger pressed on the fretboard while switching between the group of 2 strings needed for the lick. So if you manage to do it, you will develop speed and consistency. Number 3, practice in a way that's fun for you. Figure out what works best for you, whether it's to focus on a single exercise or split the study time on 3 or 4 exercises. Personally, I prefer the latter one. I like to alternate between 3 or 4 exercises rather than sticking with just one. For example, I take this sequence and play it in 3 different ways. Changing up my right hand approach every time keeps things fresh and pushes me to discover new solutions, even with the same melodic patterns. Number 4, gradually work on stretching fingers. When you're starting out, everything seems so hard because you can't reach the frets that you need. Spend some time playing a little chromatic sequence like 1, 2, 3, 4, making sure to press at the end of each fret with each one of your fingers. Once you've got that down, try doing the same thing, but shift each finger a whole tone instead of just one fret. This will gradually stretch your fingers. You may not notice it in the short time, but after a few months, you won't believe that you finally can hit that impossible fret. Number 5, don't obsess with memorizing all the notes. Mapping out every note on every single position of the guitar is a long and complex process that needs a lot of time. It's way more useful to learn all the notes on the first 3 frets and then use a geometrical system like the caged system to figure out the rest, rather than memorizing all notes. If you're not sure what I meant, check out this video linked on the top right, where I dive deeper into this topic. Think about it, if you manage to memorize just one note a week, which is a lot, in a year, you can learn almost every note that's on your guitar from the 1st to the 10th fret. Maybe something less, but it's a great result anyway. The trick is not to force it, but to think a little about the notes every time you play something. So while you're playing, you start to develop a natural reference with some notes on the fretboard. It makes playing more fun and you get the results you want anyway. Number 6, play plenty of rhythm. The best lead guitarists are also awesome rhythm guitarists. Don't just focus on the technique or solos. Put in your daily practice even some rhythm. And honestly, it's a blast. If you are a rock player, if you're a jazz player, blues player, never mind. It's always fun to play rhythm guitar. For example, check out this little song. Number 7, don't underestimate music theory. Understanding what you're playing is crucial. It can save you loads of time. You don't need to know every detail in theory, but grabbing some basic concept like the intervals, for example, can incredibly help you in everyday practice. By the way, if you want a video where I talk about the intervals, let me know in the comment section. Number 8, bring theory on the fretboard. I've had plenty of students who knew all the theory and never applied it. It's like memorizing a recipe without even cooking it. When you learn a theoretical concept, try to put it on your guitar. Experiment it in a small composition and you'll have a lot of fun with it. Number 9, knowing chords is really helpful. You might think chords are only useful when you start out playing the guitar, but it's not like that. Knowing more advanced chord positions lets you create some really cool progressions and gives you a great reference point for the soloing. Check out what you can do with the 5 caged positions of the dominant 7 chord. Number 10, knowing a bit of blues is always useful. Whether it's for rhythm or soloing, blues is an incredible tool for expanding your guitar vocabulary. Don't dismiss it as like too old. Many of our favorite guitar songs have their roots on blues, so give it the respect that it deserves. Number 11, learn lots of covers you love. I've heard some say that they'd rather compose than learn some other people's song. Sure, I feel that way too, but playing covers lets you learn something new every time. You can expand your vocabulary emulating others. It's no accident that many of the greatest composers of the history of music spent a lot of time trying to play something that they loved. And they didn't stop at that, because they were even reinterpreting their favorite musicians. You don't have to play exactly like them. Just try to get close to their style, and your playing will surely improve. Number 12. Also study the theory behind a cover. When you understand the theory behind a song, when you learn how to name a sound, a chord, or an interval, you can memorize it and you can reuse those ideas whenever you need them. Number 13. Improvise something every day, even if it's just for 2 minutes. Take a little time to just let loose and goof around. Step away from your structured practice just a little bit. That short moment of free play helps you solidify the movements that you learned while you were practicing. And what you've studied will eventually become part of your playing style. And often once you start improvising, you lose track of time, so you play more, and it's good. Number 14. Don't neglect your touch. If you're playing a cover and something feels missing, so you are doing all the right notes but it doesn't sound the same, it might be time to work on your touch. Pay attention to how notes are emphasized. Take a closer look to the bendings. Ask yourself, when this bending is played, is there a release or not? These little details makes a song unique, so it's worth to spend some time analyzing those details. Number 15. Watch your picking hand. And by watching, I don't mean to actually watch, but to just be conscious about what your picking hand is doing. Many people think that the hard part of playing guitar is the fretting hand, but as you advance, your picking hand often becomes your greatest challenge. Mastering the various techniques to produce notes is tough, and it's essential to keep an eye on your right hand movements to improve your overall command on the instrument. On that note, check out this video that I made not so long ago. I made a riff to train your picking hand, and it's a lot of fun. Number 16. Don't go crazy over your strings. Back in my first year as an electric guitarist, I changed my strings maybe once a month, sometimes even after 2 weeks, testing out different sets to see what I'd like and what I didn't like. In the end, I stuck with the same strings for over 20 years, before switching a few years ago when I discovered the Dogal carbon steel, which I really love now. But even if I'd kept the old ones, I'd still be playing. So yes, spend some time finding what works for you. But once you've tried maybe 10 different types of strings, just stop and play, rather than hunting for the perfect string. Number 17. Don't go crazy on your picks. Same idea as with the strings. I found this Pick Boy carbon nylon on the street while walking around on my town on the first year of my guitar playing, and I've never switched since. I've tried different other picks, but this suits me. At the end of the day, what matters most is playing. And that brings us to the next point, that is number 18. Your gear isn't everything. I've seen some great guitar players playing with guitars that cost just 150 bucks. If you spend more time admiring your gear rather than playing it, you'll never be able to use it for what it's for. And the same goes for amps and all the other guitar equipment. Today you can achieve incredible results with cheap instruments. And those super expensive guitars are more like an art investment than a real necessity. If you're looking for some gear advice, check out the links in the description. I've included what I normally use and what I recommend based on my first-hand experience. There are tons of affordable options that works great, so take a look if you need them. But remember, if you now have a guitar and whatever amp system you have, you probably have everything you need to just play. More often than not, the sound that you are searching comes from your hands, not from expensive gear. Number 19, play with someone if you can. Sharing your passion for music and jamming with other people is incredibly rewarding. Even on an amateur level, try to find someone to play with. You don't have to start a full band or to perform live. Sometimes just hanging in a room with some other guy or girl, just jamming around, is an amazing experience. It shows you a whole new level of musical communication that you can only experience if you play with other people. And number 20, embrace the music with a chill attitude. Spending time on social media criticizing other musicians doesn't make you a better player. It just makes you a pain in the ass. Try to focus on the positive of every musical experience that you are living. So, a YouTube video, a jam with some friends, a live gig, discovering new songs. Be positive. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to prove that you're right, that you know more, that you are better than other people. Just play, play, play. That's the most important thing of all. I hope you find this video useful in its simplicity. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm always super curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, ciao.